Hello everyone, welcome to another video of Sunday Morning Drives. Today I'm going to share with you a 3-day road trip in my Lotus Exige. This is a very special event organized by the Lotus Club New Zealand to celebrate the 75th anniversary of Lotus brand. Most of the cars in the convoy, they are going to drive down to the South Island, where there is going to be a special gathering and celebration event, and a lot of amazing driving down in the South Island. But unfortunately, I can only free up myself for 3 days, so I will only be driving down with the convoy up to Wellington, and then I'll head back to Auckland. The rest of the convoy will take a ferry to the South Island and keep going. The entire trip for most people should be around 10 to 15 days, depending on what sort of route you want to take and how long you want to make this trip. The entire trip for me should be around 1,500 kilometers. I have never done a road trip in the Exige, so it's both exciting and also quite nerve-wracking to see how the Exige will handle such a long trip. Is it going to be very uncomfortable? Is it going to create issues along the way? Is the fuel tank enough for such a long trip? Let's find out. It was raining quite heavily when we first started the trip this morning, but now the weather has finally cleared up. We can now push the car a little bit and have some fun on the road. We are driving down to Taupo for the first day, and some of these back roads are really amazing. From my experience driving my Exige for the last 2 years, I actually think it handles quite well in the wet. As long as you control your speed and your throttle input carefully and be really mindful of how fast you are going to a bend, it actually is quite stable through some wet surfaces. We're now at our lunch stop, taking a break, also regroup, and getting to know everyone and doing a little bit of socializing before we finish lunch and keep heading down to Taupo. Right now it's 4 p.m. in the afternoon, and I have just checked into our Taupo motel. We have just arrived at Taupo and checked into our motels. So we're taking a break now and waiting for dinner. So we are finished for the day of driving. We started from 9 o'clock today from Auckland, drive all the way down to Taupo. We had a lunch break midway, and now it's about 4 o'clock. So it's pretty long drive, but it's been really fun. Some really nice sceneries and great roads along the way. The weather in the morning wasn't that great, but in the afternoon, the sun came out, the weather cleared up, was really good. Some really good driving today. I filled up my tank to full tank last night, so I started with the full tank this morning. And when I got close to Taupo, the fuel warning light actually came up. I was actually quite scared. It was a scary moment. I was afraid I might get stranded halfway on the road. But at the end, I made it. The whole trip today was about 300 kilometers, just over 300. And just to show you, like, these cars are not meant for long distance traveling. I was driving it pretty hard, blasting it on the road, revving it up. Yeah, it was being really fun driving, but then it actually consumed a lot of fuel. So a full tank actually only lasts about around 300 kilometers of range if you're driving it pretty hard. So tomorrow I will have to be mindful that I make sure I fill up midway so I can get to Masterton tomorrow, because tomorrow is a longer drive. I think tomorrow, the whole trip, the full day, will be around 600 kilometers. So yeah, it's a big drive. I might have to do 2 fill-ups tomorrow to get to my destination. Just to show you how practical the Exige is for a 3-day road trip. So it has a boot space about 98 liters of capacity. So inside here, I'll show you what I've packed. So I have a food bag over here with all my coffee, my snacks, my water, my tire pump, cleaner, pressure gauge, and at this corner here, my slippers, my towel, my tripod, my car charger, just in case the battery runs out, my tools, over here tools, my tissue, that's the tire repair kit, and under here I have 2 bags. So this is my camera gear. I'll leave it aside first. These are my clothes, my change clothes. It fits perfectly over here. And I even got some extra space for my jacket as well. So the boot space actually is quite capable of stuffing stuff inside. As long as you have soft bags, you can actually put in a lot of stuff inside here. Because I'm traveling just by myself, so I usually have my camera bag right here under the passenger seat foot well, so I can easily get to it. I can put my water bottle, my keys, my wallet, whatever inside here. In the Exige, there is also a storage shelf behind the seats, which is quite useful when you have small things to put away. And also the shelf, I usually sometimes stuff my jacket behind as well. Because this is such a small car with limited storage space. So anything like this that can put stuff away is very helpful. We have a very early gathering and very early start today because there is a lot of ground to cover. We are heading down to Wellington today, so from Taupo, where we start, to our destination, it should be around 600 kilometers, which is quite a lot to cover for a day. In the morning, we stopped midway through Desert Road for a photo shoot. This is a road that I have never traveled on before. It's a very interesting experience, and the sceneries around the Desert Road are very, very unique. In the afternoon, we traveled along some of the very interesting and very amazing back roads towards Wellington. And around 4 o'clock, I parted ways with the convoy where I headed to Masterton to visit a friend. Everyone else headed to Wellington where they stayed the night to get ready for the ferry ride to the South Island tomorrow. It's another early day for me, and I plan to drive all the way back to Auckland in 1 day from Masterton, so it's a big drive for me ahead. It's been an amazing trip, and I think the Exige exceeded my expectations. In terms of comfort, I think I can handle it. It's actually not that choppy in terms of ride, and for a 1 to 2 person multi-day trip, I think the Exige, in terms of its practicality, is actually okay. It's got a quite large trunk space at the back and a shelf behind the seats and a bit of room in front of the passenger. So if you are okay sitting inside a confined space for a long period of time, the Exige is actually totally capable for a road trip. It created no issues for me along the way. And you just have to be mindful of the small fuel tank and plan your trip accordingly. But I had so much fun driving the Exige on some of the best roads in New Zealand. I think I will remember this road trip for a long time to come. And I really envy those club members who could drive down to the South Island and enjoy more driving in their Lotuses. Just quickly show you how dirty my Exige is after 3 days road trip. I hope you have enjoyed this video of my road trip in my Exige, and I hope to see you again in our next video.